Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on a massive goal for basically every IT support engineer, QA tester, and backend developer out there, and that is keeping your API troubleshooting lightning fast and entirely inside your dark-themed code editor. Seriously, if you've ever felt totally bogged down by heavy, bloated tools just to test one simple endpoint, you are absolutely in the right place.
I want to anchor our entire conversation today on this incredibly powerful idea from our source material. Context switching kills flow. We've all been there, right? You're deep in the zone, investigating a bug, and suddenly you have to completely leave your IDE, open up a heavy external app, wait for it to load, maybe even sync an account, all just to fire off a single HTTP request. It's a completely universal pain point, and honestly, it just drains your mental energy and tanks your resolution times.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 1. The context switching tax, 2. Setting up the REST client, 3. Sending your first requests, 4. Managing environment variables, and finally, 5. A real-world support scenario.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the context switching tax.
Think about the traditional tools we usually reach for, like Postman or Insomnia. They are incredibly powerful, no doubt about it, but they also come with a really heavy UI. They often nag you to log in or sync workspaces, and crucially, they force you completely out of your code editor. Now compare that to the REST client extension for VS Code. It is minimalist text, zero friction, and lets you stay right exactly where you're already working. For day-to-day dev and support work, that is a massive, game-changing upgrade in speed.
And the real secret weapon here is the .http file format. You see, these aren't just plain static text files. They're literally living, executable tools that evolve right alongside the backend. And because they're just text, they live right in your Git repository. This completely eliminates the need to export, import, and share all those clunky, complex collections with your team. Your documentation and your testing tools become exactly the same thing.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, setting up the REST client.
Like a senior engineer showing you the ropes. Let me just walk you through how dead simple this is. There are no signups. You literally just open your VS Code extensions pane, hit Ctrl-Shift-X, and search for REST client. Look for the one authored by Huqiao Mao. It's got millions of downloads, so you can't miss it. Click Install. Then, just create a brand new file in your workspace and name it api.http. And that's it. You're completely ready to go.
Let's hit Section 3, sending your first requests.
To make a GET or delete request, the syntax is wonderfully raw. You just type the method followed by the URL. So something like get httpbin.org/get. As soon as you type that into your .htt file, this little link magically appears right above your text that says send request. You click that inline button and boom, a split pane instantly opens on the right side of your screen showing the full server response, headers and all. It's so fast.
Now, when you actually need to send data, like with a POST request, the format is just as intuitive, but there is one absolute golden rule you have to follow. You type your method and URL, and on the very next lines, you type your headers, like content type, application/JSON. But here is the crucial part. You must leave exactly one blank line between your headers and your JSON payload. If you forget that blank line, the extension won't know where the headers end and the body begins, and your request will completely fail to parse.
And because these are just text files, you're definitely going to want to group your requests. You can easily keep dozens of API checks neatly organized into one single file. To separate them, you just use 3 hash marks on their own line. A really quick pro tip from the documentation here. Be careful never to use dashes as a separator. Some backends might actually mistake dashes for part of your JSON payload or a multi-part form boundary. So always stick to the 3 hashes.
Section 4, managing environment variables.
So, this brings us to a massive question, really the elephant in the room. How do we handle secret auth tokens? If everything is in a text file that gets pushed to source control, how on earth do we prevent accidentally leaking our private API keys into Git? Honestly, this is the exact hurdle that trips up most teams when they try to move away from heavy GUI clients.
Well, the extension handles this brilliantly. You define variables using a double curly brace syntax right in your requests, but the actual values live outside the .http file. Your non-secret routing variables can just go in your VS Code settings.json. But for the secrets, you create an http-client.private.env.json file right in your project root. Because you add that specific file to your .gitignore, it dynamically injects your tokens locally, but it literally never ever hits your repository.
And switching between these environments is so beautifully integrated. You don't need to dig through complex menus at all. Just glance at the bottom right status bar of your VS Code window. Click the Environment selector, and you can toggle from your local mock server straight to your production environment in a single click. Your base URLs and your secure tokens automatically swap out behind the scenes.
All right, Section 5, a real-world support scenario, the ultimate boss battle.
Let's look at the exact step-by-step timeline of how you'll resolve integration issues faster than ever before. We're going from the initial problem report straight to the code base to secure token injection, all the way to immediate execution. Picture this scenario. A front-end web developer pings you in a panic. They're totally blocked because a critical API endpoint in production is suddenly throwing errors. In the old days, you'd have to ask them to export a Postman collection, or you'd spend 5 minutes manually copying their curl command and setting up your own workspace. But today, you simply pull the latest branch in VS Code and open up the shared API.http file that the backend team already maintains.
You scroll right to the endpoint in question, you select the prod environment down in your bottom right status bar, and this is so cool, you can actually hover your mouse right over the auth token variable in the text editor, and a little tooltip pops up, proving that your private, uncommitted token from your secure end file is armed and ready to go.
You don't change windows. You don't open another app. You just click that inline Send Request button floating right there above the text. Instantly, the split pane opens up, rendering the raw server response. The speed of execution here completely preserves your focus and flow. You are literally debugging within seconds of receiving the developer's message.
Boom! Within seconds, the response pane hits you with a 401 unauthorized status. You glance at the response body, and it explicitly states the token has expired. Right there, you've immediately confirmed that the developer's issue isn't a broken server. It isn't a bad code deployment. It's simply a token expiry problem on their end. By treating API requests as code, you've completely transformed what used to be a messy, multi-tool troubleshooting session into a clean, repeatable engineering process. You get zero context switching, absolutely no leaked secrets, immediate reproduction of the exact error, and a lightning-fast resolution for that blocked developer. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. How much faster will your next support ticket be when you never actually have to leave your editor? If you value your focus and your flow, install the REST client extension today and just revolutionize your daily troubleshooting. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy testing.